Merry Christmas, YouTube! Here I am standing in the low-spec version of 1867. You know it's the low-spec version because you can't go inside the houses, and to keep the lag low, we have cleared the streets of all clutter and mess. However, in a real Victorian city, the streets would be covered with poo. Dog poo, horse poo, and other things as well, too bad to mention. In fact, there is so much poo upon a Victorian street that it was difficult to cross from one side of the road to the other. If you were a lady, your dress would get covered with poo, and if you were a man, your shoes would get covered with the stuff. And so, some poor Victorian people who were down on their luck would offer to sweep a crossing across the road, and these were called crossing sweeps. There were crossing sweeps on virtually every corner in Victorian London, and there were many crossing sweeps in Luxembourg too. Here's one crossing sweep. His name is Joe. He comes from the Charles Dickens stories. He's Joe the crossing sweep. When Charles Dickens wrote this, he wanted to name Joe with as few letters as possible, and so he's only referred to in the story as Joe, J-O, to try and reinforce how inferior people thought crossing sweeps were. A crossing sweep would buy a broom or brush for threepence in London, and then they would work the streets and keep the streets clear. They could earn between 7 and 8 shillings. As well as crossing sweeps clearing the crossings, some of the children sweeps could also tumble to earn money. They would stand outside a theatre and offer to tumble for people standing in the queues. In fact, the sweeps proclaimed that the men with young ladies were their best customers. What it was that the young men would want to show the ladies how generous they were, and so crossing sweeps realised that to get the most money, if you wanted to tumble outside a theatre, you would tumble to men who were dating ladies. Yeah, the men would want to show off, wouldn't they? Anyway, there were reports of one sweep who did something really special. You may have seen it earlier on in this video. Let's go back and have a look at Joe. There were reports of one sweep who swept all his poo up into the side of the road and then placed a candle into the poo and lit it. He'd charge people a penny to view his work of art. What entrepreneurship! Isn't that incredible? You've got to marvel at some of the antics that some people did. Unfortunately, the story has not got quite such a happy ending. The reports went on to say he was caught by the police for causing an obstruction, and the police destroyed his work of art and moved him along. Well, I've got to do some work. I can't talk to you, but I'm going to tell you more about crossing sweeps in another video later on. I'll save that for later. But for now, I'll say Merry Christmas, YouTube. I've got to go and do some work too. I've got to pick up poo and sell it to the local tanneries. Goodbye, YouTube. Subscribe to this channel to get more interesting, crazy facts about Victorian Luxembourg. Bye! Now, where's my bucket?